What is up? We back. We've been gone for a minute, but I'm back for anyways. Welcome to the Ricky Reset. Now you may be wondering, what the heck is a Ricky Reset? Well, friends, it would be evenings just like this, except your girl would be stressed the hell out. Because I couldn't have mentioned my classroom, but quite frankly, I couldn't figure out this whole teaching thing. So what we do on the Ricky Reset is to provide you as a new teacher practical, easy to implement tips to help you stay in the game. I'm professional learning. I'm the PD that you need because oftentimes new teachers quit too soon. Why? Because they are not getting the support they need. So my name is Andrea Fitzgerald. You can just call me Fitz. I'm an author and a speaker. And similar maybe to you, I was on a struggle bus my first year. But now I'm totally committed to helping new teachers stay in the game, baby. Because a great teacher, they can change the game not only for themselves, but also for students, right? Because it's all about students believing in themselves. So that's me in a nutshell. But today we are going to get right into it, y'all. And today we're talking about don't break up too soon. Fitz, and you probably like Fitz. What are you talking about? Don't break up too soon. Well, you all, I was thinking about this. I'm sure if I would have asked you, have you ever been through a breakup? I've definitely had my fair share of breakups. And if I would have asked you why you broke up with this person, what would you say? What would you say? Why you broke up with them? Well, most times when people break up, it's whatever the issue. It could be infidelity, it could be communication, it could be all these things. But at the underneath all of that, you came to a point where you realize, hey, this ain't getting better. This is not gonna get better. And you come to a place of acceptance and you say to yourself, either I can accept this and stay, or I can accept it and move on. And obviously, if you broke up, you decided that you were gonna move on. She said I'm said you yeah, you're gonna have to move on. So so what we want to do here, look, I done lost my train of thought, y'all. But oftentimes people quit because they are that oftentimes I said people often break up because they don't see a path in which it's gonna get better. And but oftentimes there's a scientific reason for that. But let's go back. Even in this relationship, I bet that you did not enter into the relationship thinking that you did not enter this relationship thinking that, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a bad relationship. Like, you entered into it thinking that it was gonna be a great situation. Oh my gosh, this person's so awesome, they do this, they do that. But also, once you got into the situation, you recognize, hey, wait a minute, I thought this was this, but this ain't that. And as it continued to worsen, you got to a point where you're like, this really ain't getting better, so I'm about to bounce. Well, you probably like, great story, Fits, but what does it have to do with me as a new teacher? Well, as I said before, there's a scientific reason for that. That moment where you feel like you're about to quit, that is called the valley of despair. And oftentimes, as a new teacher, that is where most of them, they say, I'm out of here. You say, I'm out of here. I can't do this, Jack. This is too much. Because I imagine that just like that relationship that you entered and you thought it was going to be a certain way, you entered the teaching and you were like, oh my gosh, it's going to be great. I'm going to impact lives. I'm going to stand at the board. The kids are going to sit and they're going to listen and stuff like that. But um yeah, once you got in there, it was a lot different. And y'all, that's kind of how my experience with teaching was too. Because when I before I entered, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be great. Like, this is gonna be like the Instagram pictures. My classroom is gonna have all the decorations. It's gonna be fantastic. But it wasn't like that, right? Because once I got in there, I was screaming and yelling every day, and I couldn't manage my class. So I didn't think that I could actually do the job. And I had my moment, my valley of despair moment too, right? But those moments when you are thinking that it's going to be something and it's not, or you thinking that, oh my gosh, this is going to be great, that's what they call uninformed optimism. because you are thinking that it's gonna be something. You're excited. You hold on a second. My dog is going nuts. But you're thinking that it's gonna be this excitement, and you have a lot of optimism about it. And when you got in the classroom, you have what they call informed pessimism. And the informed pessimism basically means that the informed pessimism is when you get in there and you realize, oh, wait a minute, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And that valley of despair moment is that tough moment that changes the game for you, where you like, yeah, I don't see a path forward. And those are usually stages 1, 2, and 3. But the goal is for you to get into what they call informed optimism, because those first 3 stages, that's where most teachers quit. So I want to share with you today how you can get through this valley of despair. Because y'all, I had my valley of despair moment too. You know what it was? My whole book was inspired by this, by my valley of despair moment. The whole thing inspired by this moment because I called inside of my own classroom. And on top of it, I was already on a struggle bus. Listen, me and Mr. Malone talk about this all the time. We said we should have been teaching nobody kids. 7th grade, my 7th period class was off the chain. That thing was wild. And I was screaming, yelling, and I was struggling. But that day that I called inside of my own classroom, I literally thought it cannot get any worse than this. I'm so embarrassed. How am I going to show my face tomorrow? What am I going to do? So it's 4 things that I did that helped me get over that valley of despair. And really, y'all, this is a thing that I think we often don't talk about, because we talk about, oh, I'm going to give this teacher this strategy. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I've even had to do it myself at times. But underneath it, it was some mindset shifts that I had to take in order for me to recognize and get through that valley of despair. So the first thing was, and I use the acronym STAY, because I honestly think these are the shifts in thinking that are going to help you get to the other side of that. So the S is, look, I done lost my train of thought. Okay, yeah, oh, I know the. So the S is stay humble. And stay humble, I'm saying that politely, y'all. But really what I'm saying is, hold on a minute. What? Okay, Nanu. My dog is so crazy right now. But essentially what I'm saying here when I say stay humble is be willing to not be LeBron James this year. You're gonna mess up. I think it's 2 layers of that when I say staying humble. Some people, they come in the game. You got the Caitlin Clarks of the world and LeBron James. They rookie year, they absolutely crush it. I personally, that was not my experience. Your girl was on the struggle bus. But I think knowing that it's okay for you not to, um, knowing it's okay that you may not be great yet, like that's okay. But it's something. It's a video I did today about being humble, is having the courage to not be good. Because with that courage, that means that if I understand that I am not LeBron James this year, I have the courage to take risks and try different things, and know that with that there may be some mistakes there. Because when I lean into courage into places where I don't feel as comfortable, which is how I'm going to get better, 2 things happen. I become more confident because I'm learning something every time, and with that confidence I become more competent. But it's humbling myself and not making up a story that, oh my gosh, I'm just not a good teacher. Yeah, that's not the case. You are learning, you are growing, and a part of that process is knowing that as I'm learning, the courage to not be great yet. We'll get there, but that's okay. But I think another half when we talk about humility is being open to feedback. So being willing to be reflective. They say the teachers that are most successful, they're reflective. It's okay if you don't have the answers. You're not supposed to. This is your first year. You are a newbie. And if you really think about it, that they say that the first 7 years of a child's life are so imperative. They shape who they are for the majority of their life. Being a teacher, same thing, right? The first couple years are pretty critical. So just take the space and give yourself permission to be like to be okay with, I may not be LeBron James this year. That's okay. Go into it with that mindset. I am learning, I'm growing, and that's okay. The T is I had to take ownership. So one of the biggest mistakes, and why I was on the struggle bus too my first year, because you know what I did? I blamed the kids and I blamed the parents. I said, oh, what's wrong with them? They so lazy, they don't ever do their homework. I was blaming everybody else and I wasn't taking any accountability. So what I had to shift my mindset there and recognize that parents are sending the best they got. It's not personal. It's not personal. Because it's very easy to continue to blame things outside of us. I'm even beginning to learn that now. Like the one thing I know is you cannot control other people. Seriously. Like it's just, yeah, unrealistic. You're not gonna be able to control other people. But you can control yourself. And you can control the outcomes that you want to control. So prime example, I used to get mad at my students because they didn't bring back the homework. And I'd be so mad. But the question I had to ask myself, do I want to be right or do I want to be stressed and right? And it was a teacher a few years ago. I asked her, I went in her class and the students didn't have their computers. And I asked her, I said, well, so I asked her, well, let me back up. So the students that had their computers, and she was talking to three students. It was like 12 or 15 kids in the class, but other people didn't have a computer, so she just talked to the three in the class. That's cool and all, but I said, Nanu, he gonna have to kick with me because he is so loud. But yeah, so I said, well, that's cool and all, but they still gotta learn because at the end of the year they still gonna be tested on that material. So what I said to her was, what are you going to do to address that? Because yeah, you could. And I asked her, she was like, well, that's not my fault that they don't have that computer, so they just gonna have to be without the materials, but at the end of the year I'm going to be assessed on whether the students learn or not. And I did a similar thing. I was like, oh, they don't bring back their homework, well, I'm just not gonna. Yeah, but you know what, the kids are still going to be assessed at the end of the year. So I need to make sure that they are getting the information. So you know what I started doing, y'all? I started doing homework in class. I'm not tripping. Some people say, oh, homework, whatever. But listen, I tell you, I stopped giving them homework. I'm not tripping on it. I just want to make sure you can do it. So it's those type of adjustments where I'm taking ownership and I'm not blaming the kids. What adjustments can I make? How can I create conditions where students can learn? Because I can get mad and I keep saying, oh, this and that, I want this to be different. Well, it may not be. So I've got to make some adjustments within myself versus like blaming someone else. So we can easily make excuses, or we can figure out what it is that we're going to do about it. Okay. So that's the T. Take ownership. The A is ask for help. One of the challenges, you talk about like being in that valley of despair. Oftentimes we don't think that it's going to get better because we think that we're alone. Like I thought that I struggled in that room for I don't know how long, because I felt like as a new teacher I should know this, I should have this down packed, y'all. I shouldn't be on the struggle bus. So because of that, because I felt like I should know, then I didn't ask anyone for help. Well, my mentor, she comes in one day and sees me teaching, and she said, you got a whole row of students in the back who are not listening to you. And I was like, no, I thought they was listening. I mean, I'm talking about I was in that thing teaching, y'all. Like my hair was on fire. And the kids wouldn't listen to me. So she told me to come watch her teach one day. And I went and watched her. And you know what I learned from watching her? That kids can be quiet when you talk. I didn't know that. I screamed and yelled for I don't know how long, but until I saw her teach, I then knew what was possible. And not that you're gonna get it perfect, you're not gonna get it right every time, but get the help, because asking for help, it's not about being perfect. It's about acquiring more tools. Something that I read. Hold on a second. But something that I recently learned in therapy, my coach, I'm not my coach, but my therapist, she said it's two things that you need to be successful in any relationship. She said, number one, you have to have a willingness. And number two, you got to have skills. You can be as willing as you want to. You say, oh, I want to do it so bad. But she said the other half is you have to have skills. That's where therapy, that's where getting support. Lord, I tell people all the time, I'm crazy as hell. I got to have a therapist. You hear me? Because but it's about getting help, because as bad as I want to do things, sometimes you need additional support to help you. That's where mentors come in. That's when professional development, where coaches come in. Those things can be very beneficial for you as a new teacher, getting the help that you need, because you don't have to do this alone. Teachers, we steal all the time. We love to share, and I'm sure it's people in the building that can support you in what it is that you're doing. So find you a mentor, coach, and I would even recommend with the mentor, find someone possibly that is in your content area, because that was super beneficial for me. And the last one is why is you're gonna take L's, but that's what's gonna make you phenomenal. That's what's gonna make you a great teacher, is the mistakes. So oftentimes you can get in a place where you're struggling and you think that, oh, what's like, I'm just not meant to do it. The valley of despair is most of the time it's you don't see a path in which this is going to get better. And but understand that those losses, those mistakes are what's going to make you a great teacher. Because see, I think that's the thing that people, but I think that's what people don't tell you. I think that's the thing that was the most shocking to me, because I thought that as I entered the profession, I'm like, okay, I'm intelligent, I've got good grades. And the reality is, yeah, I got good grades and I got all these degrees, but the kids don't really care about that. That wasn't enough to help me be successful. I learned by the mistakes. I learned about power school from calling inside of my own classroom, because the reality is the valley will teach you lessons that the mountaintop never will, like, period. Because when I think about my growth moments, it's not like writing a book, it's not securing this gig or that gig or this, that, and the other. What has done it for me is the what has done it for me is it's the mistakes. It's the mistakes. The reason I value relationships so much, because I had my fair share of challenges here. Emotional intelligence, why I'm so obsessed with personal growth development, I've had my fair share of challenges there. That's what has transformed me as a human being. So don't freak out because you making mistakes. That does not mean that you are not meant to be a teacher. That does not mean that you cannot do this. The mistakes are what's going to make you great. And I think oftentimes as a new teacher, whenever I do speeches and I talk, that's the talking point when people most come to me after. It's like, yeah, the session was great, but most of the time they say, what really resonated with me? It was I didn't know that I'm gonna make mistakes this year. Like, for real, for real. Like, I'm gonna feel like I am in the gym putting up jumpers, and I'm not making nothing when I get in the game. Like, I'm not getting anything back. So you wonder and question, am I really equipped for this? Am I built for this? And so my message to you is, yes, you are. The L's are what's gonna make you phenomenal. Because keep this in mind when we talk about the L's. If you don't remember anything I say tonight, remember this: E plus R equals O. And what does that mean, Fitz? The events. The events are going to happen in your classroom all the time. You're going to plan a lesson and it may not go the way you intended. You may scream one day and you may want to cry, and the next day is better, right? But the events are the events. They going to happen. Life going to life. Things going to happen in your classroom. And the O is the outcome. But what is the game changer between the good, the great, and the unstoppable teacher is the R. That's in the middle. That's your response. You get to decide on that. Because every time that you take an L, if you learn from it, you're going to elevate and become a better teacher, which I think goes back to that first one of staying humble. So Just keep that in mind. So just to recap, number one is stay humble. It's okay if you're not great your first year. Give yourself permission to, I'm not going to be LeBron James this year. That's okay. You're going to get there. Also, the other half of humility is being reflective. Be willing to take feedback. It's okay if you don't know. The T is taking ownership and not making excuses. Don't blame the kids. Don't blame the parents. Things outside of you. What can you control? And the A is ask for help. Okay. So get the help that you need. And the Y is you're gonna take L's, but that's what's gonna make you phenomenal. Okay. So just to wrap up our conversation for today, a quick story. I had a and when I was in graduate school, I took this class, research methods, and it almost got me kicked out of graduate school, if I'm being honest with you. But we had to do this lit review. And I walked into this lady's office. Her name was Dr. Higgs. And I got a 3 out of 10 on that thing. A 3 out of 10, y'all. And y'all know, you math people, you know what that is. That's a 30%. I failed that sucker. So I go into her office and I say, Dr. Higgs, what can I do to get some help? And she said, yeah, you'll be lucky to get a D in this class. And listen, y'all, I felt the tears well up in my face. I was about to cry in that lady office, but I was determined. I felt the big gulp in my throat. Like, you know, the one when you're trying to hold the tears back. And listen, I walked across campus like little Daryl with my backpack on. And I was doing the ugly cry all the way across campus. I said, I'm gonna fail out of graduate school. And when I got in that office, I when I got in that office, I called my dad when I got in the library, and I said, yeah, Dad, I actually don't think I'm gonna do this, because at this point so many people had quit that I was like, well, I'm gonna be next, obviously. And you know what my dad told me? He said, you built for this. You can handle this, just like when you went through that depression, just like when this happened. He started reeling off all these different times in my life when I thought that I was not going to make it because I was facing a challenge. And he reminded me of the capabilities that I had within myself. All these different moments. And you may have one of those moments too this year. And you may be having it right now. You may be in your valley of despair where you like, baby, I'm about to quit. Because I had a teacher last year, was it a couple years ago? He said, if I didn't talk to you, I already had in my mind. I was getting in my car and I was applying for jobs as soon as I got home. So you may be feeling that right now, where you like, yep, I don't think I can do it. Listen, don't break up with the profession too soon. You are built for this. Just like my dad told me that one day. He said, listen, you can handle this. You can probably think back to moments in your life where it was hard, it was difficult, and you made it. See, those stages 1 through 3 that I just talked about, when we quit, now let me disclaimer, you may say teaching just ain't for me. I'm with that. But what I want to challenge you, for those of you that have made this decision to get into the profession, don't quit too soon. Give yourself a chance to get through the tough stuff. Give yourself an opportunity, because you know the research says that what can happen is if we quit too soon, we'll start another stage 1 through 3 and we'll hit another valley of despair, because we may have an idea of something, it gets too hard and we quit, and we'll start that cycle over and over and over again until we figure out, I guess, what that thing is for us. So my challenge to you is, do not break up with the profession too soon. Give yourself time. If you need support, you like, oh my gosh, I'm on the struggle bus. Listen, get at me. I got a workshop coming up at the end of December, December 19th, and it's to help new teachers get their class back on track. Because what I hear too often is, it's not that new teachers are want to leave the profession. It's just like, yo, I just need support. Like, that's all. I promise you, if I did not have Miss Reed, Miss Dixon, and Miss Holmes, y'all, man, I don't know what it would have been like out here. But your first couple years, just like a baby, it sets the foundation for the remainder of your career. So you really want to have a strong foundation those first couple years. So if you want to get your class back on track, I want to challenge you to come to our Rookie Reset Thursdays. They will be There will be every Thursday starting December, just to help you get your class back on track. So the link is bit.ly Thursday resets, bit.ly Thursday resets. So come join us. I would love to see you there so that you can get your class back on track. But thank y'all so much for joining. And as you go out this week, I want you to keep what I call that rookie state of mind. And what's that fits? Remember, the level up is in the losses. Problems are a privilege. And yes, you might be new to this, but I know you're true to this because you're in this moment right now. And I believe in each one of you. So get out there this week and do those rookie push-ups, baby. And we